Live it says, and live we are. It is episode 5 of Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Hello there. The kettle is on, so I've got my cup of tea to make, and I will do that while I do the opening credits. But yes, if you are watching now, and we've got 1 or 2 people joining us already, welcome along. You've got your notifications set. Thank you very much indeed for that. As always, best way to know that we are going live, head down below, click notifications, hit subscribe, hit like, and of course, if you're watching this after the fact, again, hit like, hit a comment. Let us know what you thought of the show. Let us know what is going on in your world. I know that this has been an auspicious week, and having a handle like an Englishman in San Diego, I do get myself tarred with some kind of full-blown nationalist brush, which means I've been getting a whole bunch of messages from my American friends, basically asking if I'm okay. Listen. I have respected Her Majesty, but I'm no major royalist in myself. But yes, I respected her work and her dedication, and that's really all I have to say about it. It's not something I dwelled on too much. If anything, the kind of pomp and circumstance over her passing has been the thing. A little bit like Diana in that regard. I've been finding the circus that's been going on around a little bit more fascinating than the actual events and the family it's happening to. And to be honest, the less said about the family, the better. Let's move on about that. Let's leave it there. That's it. We have done a screening already. We've done a live stream already. I did it for the Patreon supporters, and we were speaking to Gustavo Vargas about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago. That is going to be made publicly available as of Thursday. So if you'd like to join us, if you are not a Patreon supporter, number one, why? Head to patreon.com/Englishman STCC. Even for the minimum amount of support that you can give us, you can watch our fantastic chat with Gustavo, and he is a great guy, and it was really great to talk to him. But if you want to watch that, we're going to be premiering that on YouTube on Thursday. You're more than welcome to join us. However, we've got 2 great guests who are going to join us on today's show, as well as talking about D23, as well as talking about Rose City Comic Con. But we've got a great Kickstarter campaign that we want to tell you all about as it goes into its final week. And we'll do that after this. Hola, huzzah, and welcome to Talkin Con, a cup of tea in Englishman in San Diego. Can't even get my words right. That's the kind of day I've had, and I need a cup of tea to rouse me and get myself ready for today. Welcome along. It's good to have you here. Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. My name is Leonard Sultana, and each and every Sunday at 6 p.m. we talk comics, Comic-Cons, and all the stuff and nonsense we get to enjoy at such show. And my word, has it been a big weekend for Comic-Cons. We've got Rose City that's happening in Portland at the moment. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show, as well as talking about everything that's come out of D23 Expo happening at the Anaheim Convention Center. I'm certain if you've been looking at your social medias, you've been seeing all the reveals that have been coming out of that show. We're going to talk less about the actual reveals of the actual convention, because that's been done elsewhere. We're going to talk about the mechanics of how the show's actually gone. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. But of course, if you want to chat about anything, jump in, let us know what you're getting up to. And maybe you're at a con right now, if you're just kind of either coming home from a con, if you're here in the UK, or if you're just about heading off into day 3 of whatever con you're going to. Let us know. Let us know what you're up to and how your weekend's going. we've got two guests who are joining us on today's show who, frankly, are getting themselves a little bit nicely stressed out because they've got themselves a Kickstarter which is into its final week. So we're going to be talking to them about an amazing Kickstarter, which I've backed pretty much from the moment it went live, because I'm a massive War of the Worlds fan. And certainly this chapter of that story by H.G. Wells is just a really interesting topic to cover as a comic. But these guys have decided to take it on. We have ourselves Rob Jones. We've got Matthew Hardy who's joining us. Hello there, chaps. How the devil are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm okay.
You're
all
okay.
Right,
yeah. We were okay with okay.
Just okay.
We'll deal with that. That's fine. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. We did ourselves a bit of a shout out a couple of weeks ago when we had some a guest drop out on us, and at which point I said, if anybody has any projects that they want to talk about and come on and talk to us about on the show, please do, and we'd love to shine a spotlight. At which point you guys reached out and I went, you know what, why didn't I even think about talking to them before? Because we're talking about Thunder Child, which is a War of the Worlds story, which we're going to put some pictures up in a minute. I've got some stuff which we're going to put up on the screen. But before we do that, let's introduce everyone to yourselves. Rob, we'll start with you. And I usually go with my three questions. So question number one, cup of tea. Do you have a brew to hand? What is your beverage of choice right now? Or are you keeping yourself pretty low key?
I'm actually drinking a Pepsi Max. I'm sorry,
Pepsi Max.
I've let the side down. I've let Britain down. I've let the country down. But no, usually it's a PG Tips. To be honest with you, PG Tips is the cup of tea I'll go for. I do dabble in coffee, but it's probably dangerous to have me on coffee. So, you know what I mean? Usually I'm pretty hyper. So me caffeinated is pretty dangerous. As Matt can attest to, he's seen me at cons.
Fair enough. And for yourself, Matt, what is your brew of choice? What have you got to hand?
I got a cup of peppermint tea at the moment, which I don't.
That is a cup of tea. There you go. That's on brand, sir.
Yeah, but I haven't had a cup of peppermint tea in 6 months. I just weirdly fancied one, and now it looks like I do nothing but drink peppermint tea all the time, which is just normally a couple of Yorkshire tea does.
Fair enough.
I don't drink a huge amount these days, so tea instead. But yeah, no, big cup of peppermint tea to get me through the.
Good man, look at the size of that. That's what we like to see. That's what we like to see.
For longer because it's
bigger
got
than
so it's going to last.
Question number two that I ask then, just to kind of allow people to know more about you and introduce you to our audience, is about that first convention that you went to, the one that kind of introduced you to the idea of mass crowds that actually enjoy comics and coming together and talking about them. So, Rob, can you remember your first comic convention? What was the first show they went to? Did you go as a pro or as a fan?
Okay, so the first real one I can remember is Thought Bubble. Went as we had a table as Maddiest Comics. There was myself, there was Mike Sambrook, there was Nick Gonzo and Brad Holman. And we decided to kind of work together as a group and do some comics and stuff, and we did that. We actually met Gustavo there. That was the first time I met him. He came around to the team, he was showing off his portfolio, and looking at something, you're just like, this guy's gonna be massive. You know what I mean? He's gonna be fun. He's gonna be amazing. And that's where we talked about, like, he worked on a comic with us, with Mike and I, Circadian Rhythms. It's a weird little story. And stuff, but yeah, it was fantastic. It was really great. I remember speaking to because I used to write about comics, I was about 27, 28, so it's nearly 10 years ago now.
Whoa,
it's crazy. But I used to write about being like a 27, 28-year-old bloke trying to understand comics and get into it. You know what I mean? I got suckered in. I always had a kind of peripheral idea of it, and I interviewed David Hine, and he told me to write. So he said I should write some, and then I went and saw him. I think I bumped into Robert Llewellyn, which was a moment, you know what I mean? Oh, it's Crichton from Red Dwarf, you know what I mean? It was just really cool. It was such a great, fun, weekend-long thing. That was when it was at the Armories in Leeds. And it was amazing. It was such a great con, you know what I mean? The vibe was fantastic, and everything else. It was great. So yeah, no, Thought Bubble for me, and that would have been, I want to say 2016, 2017, about 7 years ago.
So you went as a pro. So you were writing about comics, but you hadn't actually done the convention experience as a fan.
Yeah, I couldn't get the time off work. Basically, I could never get the time off work when there were decent cons on. Yeah. So
fair enough.
Once we got started, you know what I mean. Once I started writing comics and stuff, it was like, right, I need to, and we need to go and stuff. So yeah, that's how I kind of did it.
Fair enough. And for yourself, Matt, your first show, your first comic convention, can you remember that far back? I mean,
thank you. Cheers for that. Yeah. I struggled when you asked the question. I'm like, oh, good God, no. I used to do MCM London as a punter every year. I can't remember my first one. I remember a distinctive one where Kieran Gillen was tabling. I think it was with Jamie at the time. I think it was when Phonogram had just come out.
Right.
And that's one that sticks in my mind because I chatted to them for ages and they were really enthusiastic and really like, just go out there, make a plan, stick to your plan, go out there, make something, get it out there. That kind of inspirational kind of stuff. I mean, I've been writing. I think I was probably writing before then, but that's when it sticks in my mind. So I went to the bar afterwards, sat, made a plan. Probably still working through that same plan, to be perfectly honest.
Couple of beers down, working on a plan. Okay.
Probably
that's the approach.
This is it. This is the way to break into comics. I've got this sorted. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Still there.
Fair enough.
I think the first con I tabled at was probably London Film and Comic Con.
Oh wow.
Which has its pros and cons. London Film and Comic Con, always a lot good footfall, plenty of people, but the comic guys are always stuck up. I don't know if you know the building. My wife used to work at the Olympia building in Kensington.
Not a fan.
Yeah, it's not great for, in my opinion, it's not great if you're stuck up in the rafters.
No, it's not only that, but it's one giant greenhouse as well. So everyone up there is cooking nicely.
It can be, but no, I remember I did all right. I've done God knows how many runs since. So up and down the country. Me and Rob did Glasgow, didn't we?
Acme Comic Con at Glasgow. Yeah, we did that in March. That was a lot of fun.
500 miles I travelled for that,
and you walked 500 more.
Really good fun, and it was nice to get a chance to see Rob. And we, the journey up and the journey down, we kind of got a chance to plot out a bit of Thunder Child and talk about Thunder Child. So it was a good use to write it. But,
yeah, we are going to get to Thunder Child, but one last question then, which is the question that I ask my guests. Number 3, when you have attended conventions, obviously you get the chance to possibly meet those peers or those people that have influenced you over the years. Has there been any wobbly knees moments where the mouth goes a little bit cotton and you kind of find yourself gibbering at someone that has inspired you over the years? Rob, anyone that you can think of that you've met at a con that's just kind of made you lose the plot a bit?
There is, and unfortunately it's been kind of tainted over the last kind of, you know what I mean, like after things kind of came out, because it was Warren Ellis, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. I was a big Ellis fan, and it's kind of been tainted. Like I said, David Hine, fantastic, amazing person. Met him, was a bit like ooh and stuff. Charlie Adlard and stuff. I'm trying to think now. You know what I mean? Like there's a, you know what I mean. You know what it's like at conventions. You're like kind of like ooh, and you make plans to do things, and then all of a sudden it's a case of something else pulls you away, or this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? But like there've been a few, and like I said earlier, obviously bumped into Robert Llewellyn. He had a table at Thought Bubble, and he was selling his book. And that was just like Robert Llewellyn from the telly, you know, and that was a real strange moment and stuff. You know what I mean? I was just like, I really like you. I loved it when you played that guy who was in the Falklands with the fake legging bottom. You know what I mean and stuff. So that was a very strange moment. So yeah, there've been a few, but like I say, most comics focused one, like I say, for me anyway, has been a bit tainted. It's a shame, but obviously there's conventions coming up, the Thought Bubble this year, which I'm really looking forward to. I am making a beeline for Mark Bernardin, as I really love Mark Bernardin, and I love Kevin Smith and stuff like that. Kevin Smith films were a staple part of my teenage years and things like that in early 20s. And obviously, I love listening to Fat Man and Batman and things like that as well. So I'm making a beeline for Mark Bernardin, like I say, because that guy, he has always got the right take on situations and things like that. So I'm assuming I'll get up to him and I'll be all wobbly kneed and I'm like, I really love you.
Well, we've got Andrew Dickinson's watching as well, and me and him, big Mark Bernardin fans. You may have to, the three of us, may have to kind of like tackle each other to kind of get to his table. So that'd be.
Well, I'm 6'3", so if you guys follow me, like I say, I'll like, kind of muscle through, and you guys can like out the back and stuff. So three-pronged attack.
Fair enough. We're just gonna have to cut your legs out from under your work. We'll work from there. From yourself, Matthew, those heroes that you've met at cons that have just made you lose the plot a bit.
I'm probably going to regret saying this, but I don't get particularly tongue-tied. They're
Fair enough.
just guys like us and girls like us. They're just people. I mean, I remember Jason Latour once saying to me, I think it was about the time he was writing Spider-Gwen. He's like, I was where you were last year, and I'll probably back where you are in a few years' time. Ironic. But yeah, one particular instance that springs to mind was a thought bubble quite a few years back now, and Brian Vaughan was there.
Yes.
I took I took stuff up to be signed by him. I don't know, Saga, probably by the last man at that point. And I took my own books with me to just give him a copy. You know, hey, look, I'm a comic book writer. Hey, look, it's my book. Yeah, it's embarrassing. He signed the Why the Last Man, and I gave him my book, and he goes, "Can you sign that for me, please?" And I was like, "No, no, I'm not a real dude. I'm not a real writer, dude. I'm just starting out. I'm not gonna." And he's like, I'm taking those books back. I will not sign your books until and he made me sign the book and give it. Top guy. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. Great stories. Thank you very much indeed for sharing those. But yeah, let's talk about the book that you're currently involved in, the pair of you, because, like I said in the intro, I'm a huge War of the Worlds fan, and to hear that you were doing this is something that I'm really excited about. Thunder Child, it's a War of the Worlds story. I think the first question really is, why War of the Worlds? Why is it appealed to you? Did you come in through the book? Did you come in through the album? How did you come into the world of War of the Worlds? Whoever wants to dive in first. Who wants to dive in?
So yeah, you get complete different answers for me and Rob here. So I found the original book, read the original book years ago, and Rob, this was Thunder Child was Rob's idea. Rob, out of the blue, sent me a very passionate message, just going, "Matt, Thunder Child, we need to do Thunder Child." And even though I was a fan of the original book, I was like, Thunder Child. So for this project, I mean, I did a lot of research. Reread the book. I went and watched a stage play about the Orson Welles radio play. I did some recent BBC audio versions. I did tons of research. So I come from that point of view. Rob.
Rob, stage left.
Rob.
So yeah, like I said, I mean, I was listening to the music actually. To be fair, I was listening to Jeff Wayne, the new version. I was listening to the new one with Liam Neeson as the narrator and stuff like that, and the kind of updated soundtrack. And I was listening to Thunder Child, and it stirred up loads of old memories. Because my dad had that as an LP with all that amazing artwork that was in it as well. You know what I mean? He had he did the original pressing, like Jeff Wayne's recordings, and Thunder Child was always my favorite song on it. And I was just there. I was kind of sat thinking, going, are there any War of the Worlds comics? I've never seen a Thunder Child comic, you know what I mean, or anything like that. And it's such a tiny part of the book that you know what I mean, it almost doesn't register, and it's such a bombastic song that, you know what I mean, like all the, you know, it's a standout song for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I saw a comment coming up saying that come up there and that song makes me cry. And like it stirs up a lot of emotions in me as well. I was just kind of sat there going,
it's amazing.
This needs to be a comic. You know what I mean? And so I kind of got that kind of vibe. And like I say, I just messaged Matt. There must have been about 17 exclamation marks after each line. And she's like, "We need to do this. It'd be great. It'd be fantastic."
Mate,
and that was it.
Child,
like I said, that's kind of how we did it. Yeah, Thunder Child.
Child. Capital letters. I mean, you've got a question from Andrew.
Yeah.
Like I say, we're both fans. Is the layout of Thunder Child based on anything, as there are a few versions around? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you could actually go from the description as registered by War of the Worlds. So you can talk about the, I mean, certainly the design of the Martians and all of that. The actual boat itself, or the ship itself, you're talking the war steamers of the time. So I can imagine there was a fair amount of research done in that regard. In terms of the rest of the design for the actual book itself, were you pulling from, like you say, the Jeff Wayne book? The artwork that came with that album. Where did you get the framework for putting the story to a comic?
So
go on. Okay, so
Matt, you go first.
Okay. So when it comes to the story, we've tried to kind of stick within the framework of Wells' book. You know what I mean? So a lot of that you know what I mean? We've been very careful as we've kind of gone through. Like we work with Fred McNamara as an editor, and you know what I mean? We've been making sure that we are referencing things that happen within the book, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. With regards to the design, I suppose, of the Thunder Child itself, it's basically just described as an ironclad ship, and the ironclads were torpedo rams and stuff like that. So what we did was we get Matt, you got a lot of information together for Kevin, our artist, to kind of on what ironclads were, how they looked, things like that, how they sat in the water and everything else. So that was kind of passed on. And then, like I say, throughout the rest of the book, we've tried to kind of stick to the same kind of time frame of the amount of time that goes through, because obviously there's 3 issues. You know what I mean? And kind of make it so it runs parallel to it, but tell our own little story.
So so there's nothing in our, it's our own, completely our own story told from scratch. Doesn't contradict anything from the Jeff Wayne version, doesn't contradict anything from the very brief mention in Wells's novel. But yeah, I mean, it was 3 issues for start. So we basically take the single scene and we build either side of it. We build a structure around it. Our own cast, our own characters, our own events leading up to it. There's a couple of novels out there, Thunder Child novels.
Are there?
Yeah, haven't read them. I've read the pre-C of them. I don't want to read them. I don't want to be influenced by them and end up copying anything from them. So yeah, as far as we're aware, we've sent the script out far and wide to everyone we know. As far as we're aware, we're not treading on anyone's toes as regards our story. But yeah, it's our own work taken from that little nugget that Wells gave us, basically.
Nice.
And Jeff Wayne and that beautiful song and the emotion that comes with that song as well, that's kind of pushing the project along.
Cool. Andrew's talking about the design of the ship itself. It's called a torpedo ram, and the Royal Navy only have one, but the French had quite a few. The pre-dreadnoughts of the period are so interested, might have a few in 24th scale, one 2400 scale for gaming. You see, this is where you have to kind of pay attention, because then the experts that come out of the woodwork that know their ships and know their designs. Like you say, it's a 3-issue comic. What made the idea to go for 3 issues instead of a one-shot? What was the idea of making it over that arc of comics?
So Rob actually sent me a 4-page beginning. And it started, it's completely different from what we've got now. It started at the mouth of the Thames, starting on their journey towards their fateful end. It's no spoiler. You know, the Thunder Child it's fated to sacrifice itself against the Martian war machines. Rob sent me that 4-page. I then ignored it for a good few weeks. I write a lot of other books, and then I had a bit of a writer's block on the projects I was working on, and I sat down and I wrote the ending. I thought, I'm going to write the end. I'm going to write the Thunder Child taking on the Martian war machines. It's a fun thing to write. That ended up being 30 pages.
Whoa!
There's a lot of wide scale, huge, big scenes in there, big moments. So a lot of splash pages, but it ended up being 30 pages. So I said to Rob, well, that would work as a second issue on top of your third. I'm like, but actually, if we then did a first issue that established the characters, we could have an intro issue building up the suspense. Then we can have an issue where everyone gets ready, and then we have the big blow at the end. And it worked itself better as a framework of 3 different comics. So the first issue 1, the one on Kickstarter at the moment, is more of a slow boil. Introduces the idea that something is going on. The Flash is in the sky. The Flash is on Mars. The capsule's falling from the sky. That kind of the sort of thing you get in Wells's book, where things start to build very slowly. You do get tripods. You do get the war machines. It's, you know, we can't not have them in the first issue, but we're more concentrating on building that suspense. And then the second issue, which Rob has written, things go to pieces basically. That's how it turned out to be 3 issues.
I mean, the fact that you've managed to extrapolate this whole story, like you say, from a very short scene in the book, and obviously with the
words you're looking for. We've blagged ourselves 3 comics out of.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but we had a lot we wanted to say. You know what I mean, within the book and stuff. Yeah. You know, we're like obviously trying to kind of take the points that Wells was making within his book itself and kind of put them through a modern day prism. You know what I mean? And obviously we've tried to do that as well within the book. Matt and I normally write a lot of comedy into our stories, and this is pretty straight shooting.
Straight stuff.
You know what I mean? And so yeah, we've tried really hard to kind of like pour our kind of heart and soul into it. And obviously, yeah, we're really, really proud of obviously the books that we put together, you know, and yeah.
yeah.
As we were creating and as we were basically building the characters, it just worked out really well that we could incorporate, Wells's themes into each character. We have exactly. The Major, one of the Major Makepeace, who Rob did most of the dialogue for, is a very staunch supporter of the British Empire, believes in its infallibility. And obviously that's a lovely thing to be able to play with against the backdrop of the fall of the Empire against the Martian war machines. The Youngs, who I created as a foil for him, are idealistic. You know, they can't imagine that a scientifically advanced race could ever come to Earth with anything other than benign motives. So yeah, it almost wrote itself when we started writing it. These characters almost took over the story themselves.
Wow. I think also with the story that you've put together, I mean, you've also the team that you've put together to put this the comic together. You've pulled some really great talent to create Thunder Child. What's the actual dynamic? I mean, you were explaining there about how Rob took on one character, you took on another, Matthew, sorry. So how was the kind of like the separating down of what you wanted to take on when it came to the book, and how long did it take to kind of bring it together?
Well, I wrote the 3rd issue during lockdown. I then wrote a breakdown of the first issue, what needs to happen page by page. Rob then very nobly took that first issue on and laid it out and panelled it out and dialogued it up, which I then rewrote. No, Rob, and then Rob. I didn't know.
This is what I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to work out just how
there.
much you took from each other's pieces and bits and pieces to put it together.
Yeah, I mean, I work with a lot of. I mean, Rob works with Michael Sandbrook as a co-writer. I work with lots of different co-writers as well, Ash Devman and Kieran Stevens, and every co-writer I work with works in a different way. And with Rob, yeah, I mean, each issue we've co-written in a different way. It's just it's just worked out that way.
It's good to be flexible, I think, more than anything else, and not precious. Because obviously the fact is, you could have an idea and you could sit there and you could put that idea down, and then Matt could come along and introduce just one tiny element into that, and it blows that idea wide open and gives you even more kind of scope and scale for things. And so that's the kind of way we've done it. And then obviously with regards to dialogue and things like that, we've kind of, like I say, it kind of started to write itself once we had the characters and the motives and everything else in place. It was really easy to kind of write in their voices, and it took a lot of, it was mainly like kind of minor editing and things like that. Fred, again, like I mentioned earlier, Fred McNamara, who's been our editor, he's come in and he's been really great, you know what I mean, with stuff as well. He's like, well, would they say that for that reason, you know what I mean, or this? And so it's excuse me, it's been a really nice kind of seamless process, and it's almost like you're kind of editing each other's work as you kind of go along, and you're trying to build the best version of the pair of yours work, and so I really like it. I really like writing with someone else, because again, like I say, you aren't then scraping and stretching for ideas, because you've always got someone you can kind of bounce back off, and you know what I mean, like that helps massively when you're putting something together, almost like a writer's room, I guess, you know what I mean. Obviously when they're doing a series or scripting a series and stuff, it almost works like that, and we can kind of go, does this idea work? No. This one, yes, and stuff. So that's how it worked, piecing it together.
I mean, it's interesting that you were talking, Matt, about the way that you kind of broken it down issue by issue. Is there a different stylistic tone for each issue, or is there very much, you've made it very much a crafted 3-issue story? I mean, I really like the idea of when different approaches for different chapters bring different tones and different styles to different issues and different episodes. Because I'm an episodic kind of guy. If you're going to make a comic into 3 issues, if you're going to make it an episodic story, then you can kind of really have that opportunity to make each episode very much a different vibe and a different style and a different tone. Is that something that you were approaching the pair of you from the story, or were you trying to make it more of a flow?
It wasn't planned to be individual, very different individual issues. It was planned for it to be very similar, but the way it's turned out, the first issue, is a real suspenseful pot boil of a build-up. Second issue is basically throwing all the characters into the ringer, seeing how we can churn them all up. And the third issue, just by the sheer nature of the ending that we are tied into, I mean, we play with the ending, we take it in different directions, but there's got to be blood, there's got to be death, there's got to be sacrifice. Just purely due to that last issue is a action-filled bloodbath. we can't avoid that. So they have turned out to be very, very different. And there's a lot of me in the third issue, a lot of Rob in the second, and the one we've just put out is a real kind of mismatch. So by that rationale as well, they're different comics because they've got more of us in them.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm just going to bring certainly the first couple of pages up and what we've got, because what we've got here is the ash cam, certainly the black and white work. And this is just, I mean, this is something that you shared with the Kickstarter backers, and I mean, I can't wait to see this. I know that you shared with me, thankfully, very gratefully, a copy, but this, even on its own, just the uncolored version is just a really tight. It's a hell of a read. It is a hell of a read. Let's talk about the Kickstarter campaign itself and how that's gone, because you're doing great guns so far on the first issue. And then you shared there's the black and white edition of it. What was the rationale to that? What was the reasoning you thought of sharing that much of the project ahead of launch?
That's only gone to review sites.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it would be. I thought, there you
That's
go.
why I
I
sent one to you, Leonard. You know
on
what I mean? I thought.
fair enough.
We haven't sent the black and white version of the whole book out to people in advance. Have we, Rob? Please tell me you haven't sent out.
No, not that I'm aware of.
I'm just going to check the Kickstarter and make sure the numbers aren't just suddenly plummeting. People going,
I'll check the update just to make sure. I mean, you wrote the last update.
I seriously doubt they're going to be plummeting. Not off the back of that, because I mean, the reason why I asked the question is because there's the Nocterra Kickstarter, or the crowdfunding campaign that Scott Snyder did for his book, and he basically offered out that first issue as a prestige kind of behind the scenes before the first issue even dropped. As it happened, due to the way that the thing got finally printed and delivered, it ended up coming out slightly after the first issue. But the idea was that behind the scenes, the script of the book was going to literally fund the first 3, 4, 5 and subsequent issues of the book. The fact that he pretty much dropped the whole thing as a kind of like the making of before the actual book came out.
It's a ballsy move, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely thought that you'd sent that out to a Kickstarter. So sorry about that.
Oh no, bloody hell! I mean,
we got a lot of confidence in your work to send the whole thing out and go, here you go.
There you are.
The reviews so far have been universally superb. So yeah, we're glad we did it, but it's not gone to backers yet, I hope.
Well, I mean, it's I've actually got my pledge up there at the top. I could have cropped that, but I haven't. I am a pledger to this. I am a backer, and you've done very well indeed out of this so far. £5,000 goal on this. It's currently rocking at 8,662. You talk about Kickstarter and why Kickstarter for this particular project, because you've got Indiegogo, you've got various other ways of marketing. You do have Maddiest Comics. You do have Mad Robot as well. Why Kickstarter to bring this to life?
Do you want me to take that one, Rob?
Can do, bud. Yeah.
I mean, I've talked to the Zoop guys quite a bit. Really nice guys. Really great setup. Really great platform. And I probably shouldn't say this, but actually probably an improvement on the Kickstarter platform. But at the moment, I still feel that Kickstarter, as much as I have concerns, I think a lot of us have concerns over Kickstarter, my backer base is on Kickstarter. Rob's backer base is on Kickstarter. I don't think if I put a project on Zoop, it would get anywhere near, I'm afraid to say it, the exposure that Kickstarter does. I would not put something on Indiegogo, and at the moment I'm not trying to criticize other platforms, but I don't have the confidence in other platforms.
No, I think everyone's got like pros and cons, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, also as well, we know Kickstarter backwards.
We talked about it a lot.
Yeah. Rob's done a load of campaigns. I've done. We know it all backwards. It's a no-brainer at the moment. But as I say, I've talked to the Zoop guys. I may well be putting another book on Zoop in the next few months. So, I mean, in fact, almost definitely in the next few months, another book on Zoop. So I will be spreading books across platforms.
I asked the question of Gustavo earlier because we were talking about his campaigns. I mean, Thunder Child is a project we love. It's got that banner through Kickstarter. How important is that kind of spotlight when it comes to the platform, when there is so many projects out there vying for attention? How important is projects we like to have that sticker on your project? How much of a bump did it give you?
6 backers.
Okay.
It's in the metrics. It's in the metrics.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
which is, I'm not gonna say no. I think it's about 150 quid. So I mean, I can't. It's better. It's nice to have that.
Something like that.
It's nice to have the validation of having that thing pop up. But 6 backers. There you go. That's all I'm gonna say.
Fair enough. Okay. then I think the other thing as well that's really appealing about the project is it's nicely affordable, and what you are getting for your money, you definitely get your bang for your buck. Starting at that £25 tier, with the 40-page book, all 3 covers, plus the design and sketchbook, the digital download, and a musical score as well. Where did that come in? Where did that idea come from?
Yeah,
to do a musical score?
that was me.
Yeah.
I was speaking with, funnily enough, obviously mentioned earlier, Mike Sambrook. He's been he's taking a bit of a kind of hiatus at the moment. He's been really kind of focusing on. He's doing a lot of music work and stuff, you know, and obviously been doing a lot of things with ambient and atmospheric music and things like that. And obviously, he composed this song, Tempest Flare, and it's the song that's used in the Kickstarter video. And I spoke to him, and he was like, "Yeah, absolutely, go for it." You know what I mean? So it was really nice to kind of have Mike involved tangentially in some way as well. You know what I mean? Obviously, Matt and I wrote a graphic novel together two years ago now that was on Kickstarter, Hell in Stalingrad. You know what I mean? We did that, but prior to that, Mike and I have written most of the things I've written. You know what I mean? Together, and so it was really nice to have Mike involved with the campaign. You know what I mean? Even tangentially. You know, and obviously the Kickstarter video was put together by my son, Daniel, you know what I mean, which is really cool. So it became a bit of a family affair.
Amazing job.
And stuff. But yeah, it would just be nice. You know what I mean? We thought it'd be really cool and really fitting, because obviously, again, a lot of people associate the music of Jeff Wayne's musical with you know what I mean, with War of the Worlds and things like that. So we wanted to kind of add our own slant in kind of relation to that. And Mike had just created this beautiful, like I say, atmospheric piece, and it really worked. It worked really well. So
it's very cool.
I think it suits the tone of the first book. The tone of the first book, like Matt said, is menace. There's a lot of menace. There's a lot of suspense, because obviously, again, the reader knows what's coming. You know what I mean? Even if you've never read War of the Worlds, you know that what you like I say, you know what's coming. And so you've got these people who are just like, what's this? What's happening? You know what I mean? It's kind of about the death. Like the first issue is kind of about the death of any kind of hope. You know, because obviously it starts off like Matt described earlier. The Youngs are idealists. They are, you know what I mean? And obviously, the fact is that they're, like I said, they are their worldview is challenged straight away. You know what I mean? And we do that throughout the issues as well. We take our major characters and we purposely challenge their world viewpoints. So that's something to kind of look out for in the second and third, because obviously Matt didn't mention our captain, Teresa McDonald. We have a female captain. She is the wife of the previous captain who died, and the ship is coming back, basically. So there's her and her first mate Silas, and like I say, we each issue we take one of the central main characters that we have and purposely put their world of view, you know, their point of view of the world through the ringer, and try and see how they adapt to that and how that changes the character.
Cool. I actually made a bit of a mistake there. I said the £25 tier is where we start. That's actually where I start. That's where I've come in. But it's actually started at £5 with a digital copy, and then £10 for the actual 40-page book. So it's nicely affordable, and you can come in at any kind of tier. Indeed, we've got ourselves a couple of comments already. Purely off the back of this particular stream, Andrew has dived in. You've backed Thunder Child. Your £12 pledge brings the project closer to becoming a reality. So there you go. It's a nicely affordable way of getting into the book. The story itself, like you say, is pretty finite. It's a nice closed loop when it comes to the actual story. And one of the questions I usually ask when it comes to projects on Kickstarter or creating a comic is, can you see the story going on to another episode or another, you know, carrying on going with the story? Is it really freeing to know that you've got that finite space, that kind of like that book ending, and really kind of like the closed sandbox of the story, and you're not having to distract yourself with launching off into other chapters or anything like that? It's nicely controlled.
Yeah, completely. I like far too many.
It is.
I don't want to write anymore. No. Yeah, I need to take it a little bit easier at the moment. So yeah, if it suddenly Rob's like, mate, let's make it a 10-issue series, I'd be like, no, Rob,
No.
I can't.
No.
Yeah, it's really nice to have that structure in place so we know exactly where it's going. We were asked this same question in the other day, worded slightly differently, but the same kind of question. You know, could we spin any of the characters off into anything else? Not really. We definitely can't spin the boat off into anything else because that's going to be quite a final end. But I think should we want to revisit Wells's world and War of the Worlds, I think we could do that. Do you not think so, Rob?
Yeah, we could do. We do leave ourselves a bit of an out to kind of do that. But it would be a case of what
is there another section of the book which inspires you to type 2 words out in all caps and with a load of exclamation marks?
This is the thing. I'll have to have a think, you know, and stuff. But more than anything else is what could we add? You know what I mean? In sense of obviously what could we add of Matt and I into that story, not to just kind of make it a shameless cash in that kind of way.
Yeah,
no, I didn't want to do that either. We want to do this because we're passionate about the idea. It would have to be really passionate again to do a similar thing.
Fair enough.
Or lots of money.
Fair enough. I've got a couple more questions, but guys, if you are watching, if you want any questions answering, do jump in and let us know if there's anything that you want to say. We've got Andrew with a comment more than a question. It's like Titanic, you know the ending, but it's the story to the end that you're interested in. And yeah, I can kind of see where you're going with that. And Mark Abnett, good friend to the show and to yourself as well. How deep is well and will the well? So thanks for that,
Mark. Thank you, Mark. Very reliable, Mark. Cheers.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, like Jonathan Scott, I can't wait to get my hands on the book. It looks beautiful. I think the thing that I was leading on to as well is while the story, like I say, is finite, and I actually quite like the idea of not even having to spin it off. That it's its own controlled story that you're working on the 3 issues. But can you see, and like you say, we've got yourself a little bit of an ambient soundtrack. Can you see your own Jeff Wayne album to your 3-issue Thunder Child? Can you see a mini EP?
Rob's got a guitar behind him. Do you want to get?
I have. No, I can play about 5 chords, Matt. No, but no. I think again, it's like we were talking about with the tone of the book. You know, you possibly could, but it wouldn't be as rock opera-y. I'd say it would get quite death metal in places, I suppose, maybe like Opeth. And I say death metal, but I mean more Opeth, where Opeth will do a really kind of heavy black metal album, and then they'll follow it up with something incredibly soft and tender and everything else. And like I say, you could take elements from both of that, because things do go quite bananas in the second book and in the 3rd book. You know what I mean? And so to be able to kind of you could get a free track EP out of it, definitely one based on each book. I think that would work, and it would be, you know what I mean, you could have those tonal shifts in the music and stuff, which would be quite nice. And we could get Liam Neeson to narrate it as well. Dig up Richard Burton, see if he'll do it.
Well, we get the wicker board out, and I'm certain we can do something. I mean, like you say, I've mentioned as well about the way you are at the moment. 5,000 was the goal, and you've got yourself £8,662. If we get this up to 10,000, can we convince Rob to get the guitar out and do a full rendition of the Jeff Wayne album?
Fine with me.
I'll have a go. Well, I'll definitely try. You know what I mean? I'll do it live. That'd be fun. Yeah, no, I'll do that. I'll adapt it to my own style. I'll get some bourbon out and sit with the bourbon and be like, you know what I mean, and do it that way. But no, why not? If we hit 10K, well, I'll do backflips down the street while singing it if people want, you know, I mean, and stuff. So it'd be fantastic to hit £10,000, especially with it being an issue 1. And Matt and I have kind of spoken about this, like behind this. It seems quite boggling, to be fair, because obviously we all know what times are like for everybody. You know what I mean, and stuff. And the fact that we've got a book that's nearly 200% funded, you know what I mean, it's getting there. It's like 172, 173% funded, which is incredible. You know, and to have the interest that we've had in it, and the level of pledges that people put in, despite the fact that we live in, you know what I mean, I'll just gesture all around me, because the fact is we live in a very trying time at the moment, and it's amazing that people want to and feel confident enough to put their money into this book, which is amazing, you know. So yeah, damn it, if we hit 10 grand, I'll do backflips down the street whilst belting out Forever Autumn. Why not?
That's what we're all after. That's what we're after. If you could just do your best Justin the Hayward impression, that'd be fantastic. Although we have got Solicitor Smeg jumping in saying System of a Down will be a good bass sound, in my opinion. So there you go. There's your suggestion, certainly for your 3-track EP, and Chuck Cook's diving as well. 5 chords is more than enough for rock and roll. Yeah, it's a golden rule. It's a golden rule, absolutely.
It's the quo rule, isn't it? Free chords. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, no, absolutely. Good point.
I mean, I just throw my idea there for a stretch goal, but what was your take for the stretch goals for this? Because I mean, what I know that you've actually, am I right correct in saying that you've actually printed the book already? The book's already effectively done.
No.
Whereabouts is it?
We're still waiting on final colours. In fact, I had a spread this morning come through that I really wish I'd put on the Kickstarter now, because the black and white version's there. No, we're waiting on colours. We hit November, no problem, which is the shipping date. But no, it's not quite there yet.
Oh, right, okay. Because I saw a book that had been printed up on
the magic of Rob.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I mean, I think that's also one of the signs of a really good, successful Kickstarter, is when people know that they're going to be getting a book which is complete. I mean, you've already done Kickstarter successfully. People know that you will deliver on books and on the project itself. But knowing that it's pretty much nearly done before the actual funding's even cut off, I think that's what a lot of people are really. Yeah, they support what they know is going to be there at the end of the day.
It is. It's a major advantage. I think if you take a book to Kickstarter and you can say that it's done or almost done, you'll get more backers. Basically, people have more faith in you. So yeah, not always possible, but in this instance, yeah. I mean, it's lettered. I managed to convince the letterer to letter it in advance. He's a bit of a dodgy guy, but
I know. Don't trust him.
But it's just, Simon our colorist is brilliant, but he's really busy, and he's juggling lots of other projects. But yeah, he will, as I say, he sent me 2 pages this morning, so we're getting there.
Fair enough. And
the thing is, obviously,
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, Kevin Castanero, our artist. We initially were only going to put together like 5 or 6 pages for the Kickstarter, weren't we, Matt? And Kevin was like, okay, cool, come back. And he'd drawn the whole damn thing.
Yeah, he literally went through and drew the whole book for us. So he could get the flow of the book down. So the page flows worked really well. And so we have got, as I say, the whole book down apart from the colours.
Fair enough. In terms of the issue 2 and issue 3, where are you with that then? I mean, what's your timetable moving forward? I mean, I know and appreciate that you're thinking on this first issue, get this campaign, concentrate on that, but whereabouts are you with 2 and 3?
So the second we clear this, and the second I pay Kevin, because he's very kindly, and we paid him for the pages we've used, but he's very kindly held off the rest of the payment until the Kickstarter funds cleared, which is not every artist would do that. He's been amazing. His work is beautiful. His work ethic has been incredible. He works fast. He works really hard. So yeah, I mean, I've got to do a quick shout out actually to Andy Clemson, a fellow writer I work with. He writes Damsel in Distress, Star Bastard. He recommended Kevin. I was searching high and low for someone to draw this book, and Andy just said, give Kevin a shot, and he's worked out superbly. But yeah, the second we get this book printed, Kevin's going straight into 2. The script is done for 2. Fred, our editor, has edited the script for 2. So yeah, it will be hopefully early next year.
Wow. Excellent stuff. And not only that, but you're also going to be, are we going to have copies available for Thought Bubble or Lakes? Whereabouts?
Won't be Lakes. Should be Thought Bubble. We're both at Thought Bubble, so it should be Thought Bubble.
Well, let's talk about conventions and taking the book to conventions. Yeah, are you looking forward to Thought Bubble? I mean, where are you with your convention lifestyle at the moment? Rob, are you doing?
You want me to take that one, Matt? To start with?
Oh, okay.
Well,
Matt, go for it.
Like Matt said, we did one in.
Oh, good.
I'll go. Sorry, it's perfect. Right. So Matt and I did a con in March.
Okay.
It's difficult, isn't it? Matt and I did a convention in March in Scotland, and we are, as Maddie's Comics, myself, Mike Sambrook, there's Liam Hill as well. We're going to be at Thought Bubble this year. Matt's at Thought Bubble as you know what I mean, independently. We've obviously Mad Robot Comics and obviously all the books he's done under that as well. I have to juggle stuff quite carefully because obviously I've got young kids, and so to just take a weekend off when, like I say, is difficult. So I'm not doing many conventions. I've yet to do a London one, and I keep threatening Matt with coming down to London or maybe coming to Portsmouth. And so, I mean, I threatened him with working with him, and we did that, and we've done that twice now. So the fact that I keep threatening now to do conventions with him, like I say, we did Glasgow. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, it'd be nice to kind of do some more. But definitely, we're there at Thought Bubble. We'll be separate tables. We'll be there. You'll definitely hear me. You know what I mean? Like people probably hear me before they can see.
Well, I mean,
you know,
I can't wait to get to see what people's reactions are with the book, and like you say, have it physically prepared and get everyone else to see it. And like you say, 8 days to go. So I just want to say congratulations on where you are with the actual campaign so far. It's right there on the screen. Kickstarter.com/projects /Thunder-Child. A War the World story. You can search for Thunder Child on Kickstarter and you will find it. Guys, I want to say thank you very much indeed for coming on and talking about Thunder Child. I can't wait to get my copy in my hands, and congratulations with the campaign and how it's gone.
That's appreciated. Thanks for backing us.
Yeah, definitely.
No worries,
thank you.
Where can people follow you both on social media and follow the Kickstarter to its conclusion next week? Where's the best place to go? Rob?
Okay, so you can find me generally on Twitter at Rob Jones Writes, which is really confusing because I'm a freelance letterer, but I like to confuse people. It keeps them on their toes. So you can find me on there or down the local parks in Doncaster shouting at pigeons. But like I say, you'll be able to kind of follow it on there or on Matt's Twitter as well, or as stuff. So like I say, you can find it there. We tweet about it regularly. You know what I mean? Because obviously we're our own PR team and stuff. So yeah, and obviously the best way to kind of keep up to date with how the book's doing is to back it and follow our updates on Kickstarter. To be fair,
yeah, usual places: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm trying to cut back on social media, which is helpful because Rob is much better at shouting about stuff than me anyway. So I let Rob do all the big shouty stuff on social media.
Fair enough.
I have louder fingers.
Well, I'm going to let you get off and enjoy the rest of your weekend. I want to say thank you very much indeed for coming on and talking about it. Like I say, I can't wait to see the book in front of me, and yeah, and having read the materials that you sent me, it's just a hell of a thing. Hell of a book. Congratulations to the pair of you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. Take care and enjoy the rest of your weekend, chaps.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Excellent stuff indeed. If you do get the chance, head to, it's right there, kickstarter.com/projects, the long number, Thunder Child, A War the World story. I can tell you from what I've read so far and the artwork pieces, I mean, we've shown you some of the covers up on the screen, but we've also hopefully shown you some teaser of the actual book itself. Having read the black and white uncolored version, I could tell you it absolutely holds up as a first issue, and I can't wait to see where the mayhem will dive on to for issues 2 and 3. But as a first issue, it is an absolute rocking read. It is a hell of a thing, well worth checking out. Right, so there you go. Thank you very much indeed to Matt and to Rob for joining us for that. Let's quickly cover a couple of the things that have been happening this weekend. No, not that particular event here in the UK. Let's skip over that. Let's talk about Comic-Cons, and let's talk about 2 shows that are taking place at the moment. Rose City Comic Con. This is more just the things that we've been getting reports back in. I was hopefully we're going to be getting a live report from Rose City Comic Con, but unfortunately I've been paying attention and the person hasn't logged in, so I haven't been able to join us. But they did send me a report by text and just let me know how the actual event is going. And to be fair, it's gone very, very well. The only thing that has let the show down is that they have not been insisting too much on mask protocols. And in that particular part of the world, the numbers of COVID and the variants are rising rather rapidly. So it's been very difficult to kind of justify why the organizers haven't done their best to protect their guests and also their attendees, especially when the guests that they have insisted on getting on, or the ones they've invited, are very much legacy guests. There's a fair number of voice artists, legacy voice artist guests, and legacy comics guests. And when you have guests invited of that kind of age group, you would like to think that they're going to do their best to protect them the best they can. I know where we are at the moment when it comes to COVID and conventions and popular opinion about how people look after themselves and each other. But there is that sense that a lot of people are kind of just in that mode of, well, the pandemic's over now, isn't it? And at which point you then look at the numbers and realize that seriously isn't the case, especially for those that are of a slightly older age. It's a shame that Rose City hasn't been able to do that. When it comes to the actual organization, though, the actual show itself has apparently been very well attended. It's been very well manned by volunteers. The volunteers have apparently come out of the woodwork for Rose City, and there's always somebody around that has been able to help, and they've been very helpful indeed to those that have been attending. But Rose City has been taking part like this weekend, and like I say, I'd like to hope that in future organizations they're going to be a little bit more considerate when it comes to the attendees. That being said, then you look at the other end of the spectrum, and it's D23 Expo taking part at the Anaheim Convention Center over the course of this weekend, and they've gone entirely the other way. As somebody who attended D23, I believe in 2016, this was the year that it was the week prior to San Diego Comic-Con. So it actually worked out that I was able to go to D23 and then up to San Diego. I've attended D23 at Anaheim. We're talking a stone's throw from the actual Disneyland parks itself. They run their convention like a machine. It's incredibly well organized in terms of the line management, the flow of traffic throughout the convention. It's incredibly well planned, incredibly well detailed. There is apparently, from the people that I've been speaking to, still a little bit of that element of the Marvel and the Star Wars and the Lucasfilm element kind of invading our Disney space, as it were. There is definitely a sense of the cult when it comes to the Disney fandom. They are the perma-grinning, perma-happy, even if there's a slight forced grin in there, of the cult-like status of Disney. But that's what you get at D23 and D23 Expo. However, they have gone all out to make sure that people are safe. The masks mandate is constantly being put over the tannoy. There are very happy, clappy Disney employees insisting rather friendly, in a friendly way, to put for you to make sure that your mask is on. And again, like I say, the actual show, it's not run like a convention. It's very much a case of the people who are there like it's a cult. It's a gathering of obsessives. It's not so much. I mean, yeah, you can kind of get that when you go to any of the comic convention or a pop culture con, but with Disney and D23, it goes up a notch. Yeah, it's been very impressive to see the stuff that's come out of D23. The live action stuff that happened yesterday has obviously gotten a lot of the attention on social media. So all the stuff that's come out of Lucasfilm and out of Disney live action as well. It's been interesting to see what Kevin Feige brought for Marvel, which is basically Hall H SDCC plus. So you had a little bit more expansion on some of the stuff that we got announced at SDCC. The Secret Invasion trailer that we got shown in Hall H has now been revealed to the wider world. There's been a second trailer for Black Panther. That's very much an exclusive for those people in the room. I know a lot of people were very concerned, or really wanting to have a live stream coming from D23, and that was kind of promised. But what we actually got was a camera pointing at a side room, talking to anybody who they managed to grab off the passing the booth just to talk to. It wasn't a live stream of the actual panels. At the end of the day, D23 Expo is very much about those fans that have made the pilgrimage to go and attend D23, and it's all about the excitement in the room. Yes, we've had some news coming out of the show, and it's been interesting to find out about the director of Fantastic Four, formerly the director of WandaVision. So I'm really excited about how that project's going to come out. It's been fun to read about D23 Expo, but I get this feeling that it'd be a little bit more intense and a little bit more of an experience to actually be there yourself. And it's great to see that D23 has gone as well as it has done. Solicitor Smeg is saying that forced grin that you only get from a combination of fear for your job and Zoloft. Yes, like I say, there's I seem to remember that moment. There's two moments I definitely remember. Is the when you get sometimes tape put down to kind of like create a virtual fencing so people can kind of organize lines. But when they are done to the millimeter and people are absolutely glued to those lines, you can tell that they have been trained at the California Adventure just over the road. And the other thing as well is there being the overnight stay downstairs in the car park or in the basement room of the convention center, bone cold, being blasted with live action Disney films throughout the course of the night at full volume, with the lights full on all night. It does come a little bit like torture. And from what I've been told, they've done that again this year. So if you have attended D23, hopefully in 24 hours or when the actual show finishes, you're going to get some kind of sleep. Hope you do. If you are attending D23, all the very best, and I hope you've had a great time. Likewise with Rose City, and likewise with the other cons on the way. Here in the UK, as we've been talking about throughout the course of the day, we've got Lakes International Comic Art Festival, which I am hopefully attending at least one of the days, but I'm definitely going to be at Thought Bubble in November. We're going to be hopefully doing a couple more shows leading up to those conventions here in the UK, but hopefully as well in the next couple of weeks, we are going to be speaking to Christina Rogers, who is the person, the head honcho of New York Comic Con. And hopefully that's going to be happening either next week or the week after. Keep your eyes on our social media. We'll let you know when that's going to happen. We'll get you more information. But thank you very much indeed for joining us on this week's episode of Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Like I say, we spoke to Gustavo Vargas at 4 o'clock. That at the moment is a Patreon exclusive. You can watch that at patreon.com/EnglishmanSDCC, but we'll also be making that available to the wider world 6 p.m. on Thursday this week. But thank you as well to Matthew and to Rob for joining us and talking about Thunder Child. Do check out that campaign into its final 8 days. Once again, let's put it up there on the screen so you can go check it out. I would heartily recommend backing that project. For myself, Leonard, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Like I say, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be speaking to Christina Rogers, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks as well, we're also going to be talking to Tom King. He's managed to free up some dates in his schedule. Apparently he's home He's not traveling anywhere now. He's muscling down and he's getting on with doing what he needs to do to get those many books that he's writing out into the world. But also he said that he's willing to join us. But hopefully that's going to happen in the next couple of weeks. Keep your eyes on our social, especially at Englishman SDCC on the Twitter, and you'll find out more about what we're up to on the next Talkin Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. From myself, Leonard, from Matt, from Rob, from Gustavo, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Take care, and we'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye.